Hello and greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. My name is Joelle, and I am the Viberarian. I am your host on this show this evening, and I am here to provide information that I hope will elevate, empower, and enlighten you. I love doing this show. Every Tuesday night I get to sit down and have a conversation with everyday people who have opened up to their psychic gifts and abilities, and we get to have a discussion about what that journey has been for them. So I'm really excited for tonight's show. We are on Facebook. You can join the Good Vibe Tribe on the Facebook page for the Viberarian. And that's V as in vibration, I-B-E as in energy, R-A-R-I-A-N. And you can also join me on Instagram and Twitter with the same handle, at the Viberarian. Our show line tonight is 646-668-8988. You can call in anytime to listen to the broadcast. And if you have a question that you want to chime in, just press the 1 key so that I know that you want to come on the air, and I will work you in as soon as possible. I am here every Tuesday for the Psychic Inside Show. And our episodes are now available on iTunes. I'm very excited about that. So you can download it and listen in the car on the way to work. I know that sometimes it's a little hard to catch things at prime time at 9 o'clock on the evening time, but we do continue to make these podcasts available for you. I also have a YouTube channel where you can catch all of the previous episodes of the show, and that is the VIberary. I don't have a custom channel URL yet. I need a few more subscribers before YouTube lets me go ahead and claim my real estate. But you can find me by searching for the VIberary, VIberary. So I am so glad that you're joining us. Every Tuesday is the Psychic Inside Show. And also on Thursdays on this same channel is the Viberarian Show. And on that conversation, we get to talk about anything and everything. We've talked about astrology, astral travel, and lucid dreams. I think we've got episodes lined up for Akashic records, past life regression, paranormal phenomenon, and all other kinds of fascinating and interesting subjects. So please tune in on Thursday nights as well for our other show on the VIberary Radio Network. But without any further delay, I would like to sit down and here for a few minutes and have a conversation with my special guest of the evening, Adrianna Wallace. Adrianna, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Joelle?
I'm excellent. I first met you I guess it was a couple years ago, and like many of the psychics that I have met, I first ran into you at the Blue Barn at Gloria Parker's Big Psychic Fair, which is up in Roswell, Georgia, here up to the north of the Atlanta metro area. And I sat down with you and had a reading. I was one of your clients for that time, and I just thought that you were so sweet and nice, and you're actually what I consider to be incredibly young.
Really?
That was interesting to see. I don't think you crossed the 30 mark yet, have you?
No, I'm actually 26.
Exactly 26. So I'm 45. So from here, you know that. Well, I guess 45 is the new 25. So maybe we're about the same age in spirit, anyway. But
yeah, I would say that we're the same age.
Well, I had an excellent reading with you, and we kind of crossed paths over the time since then, and I really am excited that you were able to be on the show this evening. And I just would like to sit down and ask you a few questions about your psychic life. So welcome.
All
so,
right.
You're so young. Are you a full-time psychic? Is this what you do, or is this something that's a side gig for you, or are you kind of full-time in this profession?
You know, that's so funny that I never really considered that. Right now, I actually am doing this full-time. Last year, when I gave you the reading at the Blue Barn, I thought that it was more of a side gig and that it wouldn't amount to anything else other than, once a month doing psychic fairs or, my friends calling me and me doing readings for them, because I do that a lot. But somehow it ended up blossoming into a full-time thing. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. And I'm just I'm excited to see what else the universe has in store for me.
Oh, okay. So when did you first experience what you would call your psychic gifts?
I don't really know. From what I remember, I want to say my earliest memory is 4 or 5, when I was just lying in bed, and I would be terrified to go to sleep because I would see faces, if that makes any sense. And I just thought that it was my imagination and I was making it up, and then it would kind of mutate into my dreams, and I would have dreams about people visiting me. And one of the people was actually our neighbor. And when I woke up the next morning, I found out, she had passed away. Scared me a little bit, and just little things like that over the years. I don't really remember going, ooh, this is different from other people, or, ooh, I have something, that other people don't. It was always just normal for me, I guess.
I think that's very interesting that you bring that up, because, when you read about the kind of waves of soul energy that is coming into being on the planet at this time, I get the sense that the younger generations are what they would say are old souls, or they have less of a learning curve, if you will. So because society is so much more open to things such as psychic gifts, you might never have actually suppressed it. Whereas people of my generation might have gone through a period of a decade or 2 or even 3 before they came back to something that they used to do as a kid. So, you've kind of just now been in the flow and never known anything different. Did your parents react differently when you started talking about these visions that you were having?
Not really. And I want to say they've always supported that aspect of myself, and I feel like from both sides of my family, they're both very psychic, and this is just almost a natural thing for them as well. So they just they made sure that I knew that I was safe and that it was okay, and that I knew how to protect myself and kind of self-soothe in a way, if that makes any sense to you, Joelle.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
And I know recently, I want to say I think it was last year, I had my great uncle died in Florida. And my mother took us down to Florida to meet that side of her family that I'd never met before. And they were all just kind of really far removed cousins and distant relatives. And when I got down there, practically everyone was practicing psychic or was a tarot reader or something like that. And I was going, oh my gosh, this is all into my family, and I had no idea.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. But yeah.
So they were hobbyists, or were there also any other professional psychics in your family?
Yeah, there were professional psychics as well. There were hobbyists and professionals, but there were a lot to where I was questioning my reality for a minute.
Oh,
where did this come from?
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, you have a very supportive environment then, so you didn't have any pressure to change or lie or downplay what you were experiencing at all. Not from your family,
No,
anyway.
not from my family, no. And I thank God for that every day, honestly. I've heard others' stories about coming out and to their family and the pressure that they received from them and the condemnation and just the lack of understanding and how much that impacted them and how painful that was. And my heart goes out to them because even though I didn't have to go through it on a level, because with my friends and, you know, coworkers in the past and people that I know socially, it's not something that I bring up because I've realized that there's a stigma involved, and I don't. I haven't had very pleasant experiences in the past, if that makes any sense. I mean, I would say about.
Was it friends or classmates then that you had bad experiences with?
You know, I would say when I was younger in school, I went to private school and I went to a public high school. So it was like the first time I was in public school. And, you know, my close friends, I would do readings for them. And I guess it got out, you know, that I was, you know, doing tarot cards or, you know, what have you. And people kind of treated me a little bit differently. And I learned that I needed to stop that so that I could fit in with my friends or, you know, fit in with others at school. And I wouldn't be that weird girl that was hanging out behind the lunchroom giving tarot readings. So,
right.
Yeah. But
so
after
how
that,
do you, so you talk about tarot cards, like, so was that what? How would you describe your gifts in, like, in your early years? Were tarot cards just something that was available to you that you were able to go just put your hands on them and begin working with the energy, or did you read something that led you to try it?
you know, with the tarot cards, I was always interested in stuff like that. I was always interested in the occult and just an uncanny, like, just fascination. And I could never figure out why. I would probably say that I began reading about that subject when I was maybe in 7th grade. And I went to, you know, a private Christian school. So if you can imagine me carrying around these, you know, metaphysical books in my backpack, I would have to put, like, scarves over them to hide them in case my teacher looked at my backpack. But I was interested in the tarot cards because I was kind of developing things. I didn't really know how it worked, and I was interested in divination. Thing that was always a passion of mine that grew, and fortunately, it grew into something that I love today, and I'm grateful that 7th grade Adrianna went out and got those books.
Well, you know, as
maybe
a
I'd be a teacher or
librarian,
something today.
Well, you know, I'm a librarian, so, you know, I love to hear people talk about books change their lives. You know, that's a win for the librarian books there, so I'm always happy about that. Now, so how would you describe your gifts when you speak to people about the services that you provide?
You know, when I speak to people about the sessions that they would have with me, I honestly, because I realize that Spirit kind of gets across what it wants to get across when it wants to do it. And sometimes like when I was reading tarot cards, for example, I would say, I'm a tarot reader. And so people would show up and I would start divination and I would be channeling. And then all of a sudden my channel would get blocked and I couldn't divine anymore. It was straight, hey, your Aunt Lucy's here to see you. And at the time I wasn't comfortable with myself, and I didn't have any confidence in my own gifts to give readings like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of shut it down, and I think about that all the time, like all the people that could have received that healing that I kind of walled off in the beginning. And from there, I went to, I had a good friend that was doing psychic development classes. And so I started going to her classes to kind of figure out, how to go from there. And when I started attending, I feel like I developed my mediumship a little bit more to where it flowed easily. And now I'll do tarot readings, but most of the time I just straight channel because all of that information will come out anyway. So I figured that if I have my tarot cards there, it's more for the client if they specifically request a tarot reading. But I would say that I am a psychic medium, spiritual medium, and I communicate with those that have crossed over and with your guides and with any beings that you have for you on the other side that have your best interest at heart. Anything that's going to bring this person healing is good for them. And so I try not to put a lot of words around what I do. I just say, hey, I'm a spiritual medium. Sit down with me. Let's do this. So I don't know. I'm kind of old school in that way. I try not to brand anything or put any labels on it.
Well, I've actually had several of the guests who've been on the show who said that very similar thing, because what I'm finding is that people take different words to mean different things. So, one person doesn't want to call themselves, let's say, a medium. They'll call themselves a clairvoyant. And from what I have understood from within the psychic community is that everyone is psychic, but not every medium is a psychic, but not every psychic is a medium. That mediumship is a different receiving, because you are communicating very directly then with loved ones, angels, etc. Really deceased people, if I'm understanding the word medium correctly, whereas a psychic can channel angels and guides, but not necessarily loved ones who have gone beyond the veil. Is that kind of
That's correct?
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were a
child,
child,
I would say medium.
Mm-hmm. So when you were a child, what you were experiencing were the energies of people who had passed on that you were receiving in your vision and what you thought then to be your dreams. Yes. And would they have conversations with you, or you would just see faces, or when did you? I'm thinking about.
It depended on the energy. I would have conversations with some. It was more of a one-way conversation where they would say things to me, and I would just be sitting there like, oh my gosh, the boogeyman's in my room. And it could be this really sweet woman. Like, I remember one time vividly, this really sweet, I want to say like mid-30s female came to visit me, and she was like trying to give me showing me, like, giving me flowers. Like, she was really just trying not to scare me. And I was completely, like, I was covers, shaking, leave me alone. Like, it was scary as a child, but there was a lot of one-way communication going on. I wouldn't say at that point I was brave enough to actually communicate back.
I'm just thinking about, I was thinking about the movie The Sixth Sense, when the little young Haley Joel Osment or whatever was, I think at one point he was either hiding under his bed or in his tent. And, of course, everybody knows the big reveal at the end of the movie, so I'm not spoiling it at this point, was that he actually was seeing ghosts and not seeing real people. But he was very scared of what he was experiencing, even though they weren't malevolent beings who were trying to attack him. He knew clearly that he was experiencing something that the rest of the world around him was not seeing, and I imagine he probably thought he was going a little bit off the rails, even at that age that he was in the movie. So I can imagine it's a bit overwhelming. Did you continue?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've never seen that movie. I've tried. For some reason, I can't watch scary movies. I'm so sensitive to that fact. Like, if it's a scary movie or a gory movie, I am walking out of the room because I will get physically ill. So. Oh,
yes, I think we talked in our. No, well, sorry, you'll never see it anyway. So you don't watch them. Well, we did talk before the show, and you mentioned that you are also an empath. So I can imagine that energy is sensitive for you.
That's true. I remember being afraid of, like, the Wizard of Oz when I was a child because of the Wicked Witch of the West, and if it's like, I have a philosophy in life that's helped me out so far, and I'll share with you, and it's just putting positive things in, and that way I can emit positivity. So if I listen to, like, really grungy or just depressing music, I feel that, and it kind of makes me feel, it just feels yucky. So I learned to just only take in positive, feed my mind positive energy, positive vibrations, and then I will emit that. Because if I listen to something like that or I watch something like that, I walk around feeling like that for, I want to say, like a day afterward. And even with people, I'll meet someone who kind of like a cloud over them. They're really depressed. And, me and my energy are just how I am. I want to kind of go up and help them. And that it doesn't work. I learned that when I was younger. Don't try to help people that aren't asking for help, because you're just going to you're going to drain yourself. But when I'm in close proximity to people that are suffering from things like that, I will take that on naturally. And so I've had to learn as well how to protect myself and to shield and stuff like that. I can still offer my help if they ask. But you don't need to be walking around, and this is the problem with a lot of, young empaths as well. They walk around with everyone else's issues on their shoulders, and they don't realize that it's not their own. What they're carrying is not their own. And they have to learn how to shield and protect their energy from that stuff, because it's a real problem.
Well, I think that is really more common than what people realize, and I think part of that is the fact that, like I say in the slogan for the show, is that everyone is psychic, you just may not recognize it. So we really absorb a lot more from you can ask anybody who sits in Atlanta rush hour traffic about empathy, and I guarantee you they will be able to tell you, oh my gosh, I just got so upset by the time I got home. It's not that traffic was necessarily bad, but I just found myself really just aggravated from the stop and go. And I think that is the collective frustration energy of hundreds of thousands of commuters stuck on 285 and 85 and 75 for that 2-hour period. And I think that when we see, I've been on a TV diet for, quite some time, and I found it very helpful to me. And I tend to be a little more specific and careful as well about what I ingest into my brain space. And I found it helps. It really does. We have enough kind of things to filter with our actual reality that I believe that when you add stuff from an external reality, it's not even yours, it's fictional. In the case of television and movies, that we're overloading ourselves, and that's why most of us are kind of checked out and don't even hear our intuition and guidance when it's trying to communicate messages to us. So I think we're all empaths to a degree.
I think I remember
you're a Libra as well. I'm a Libra, and so that balancing energy can kind of be a little tricky for until you realize you have to be grounded in yourself.
Yeah.
It was
Libra
interesting
power.
that you brought. Yay, Team Libra. I have several people who are listening on the phone lines this evening. Thank you all for tuning in. Our show line is 646-668-8988. And if you are looking for a reading, those will not happen until the last portion of the show. If you have a question about anything we're talking about in Adrianna's story in the first part, then just press 1 and I'll bring you on. And if not, then I'll work my way through in order of indication. I've already got one caller who's indicated that they're on hold, and I'll bring you on during the one question reading portion of the show at that time. So I thought it was interesting, Adrianna, that you mentioned walking around with other people's energy. I was just thinking about a lot of people understand mediumship from shows like Long Island Medium. And I've watched the show before. I find it highly entertaining. Teresa Caputo is the person who's, that's her show. And she's quite a funny lady. But a lot of times in the setup of the show is she'll be out in public and she'll start to kind of get a message for someone. And it starts to worry on her, and then she winds up approaching them for a cold kind of reading. Of course, we all know that reality TV is scripted to some degree, but it seems as if she's meeting people out in stores and all of that. And a lot of the psychics that I've talked with on the show indicate that they would consider that rather inappropriate unless it's a very extreme kind of feeling that you must interrupt at that point. But most of them say they try to stay away from that. Has that been kind of what you experienced as well?
I would definitely agree with that. That is, to me personally, nothing against Teresa, and I don't really know how her show is set up, but I don't think that she's really going around doing that. There has to be some sort of agreement beforehand. I know that I've experienced that before, that feeling where if I don't say something, I'm going to feel awful. It's just going to weigh on me. And when I was younger, I want to say that I would go up and say something. And this is me, teenage Adrianna, so I had a lot of lessons to learn. But thankfully it wasn't developed enough to where I would say something like, oh, your Aunt Josie wants you to check under the cupboard because you left, the money there or something like that. No, it was normally something very vague that spirit would impress upon me. And I feel like we all have times like that where we know we should say something. So I would say if it's something vague, get away with saying something that's not imposing on them, and that doesn't. I still do to this day. You know, I always ask my guides, you know, is this the right time? Should I say this? You know, and sometimes it is the right time, and there is a reason why I was there next to this person, and that was to say something, albeit very vague, but I'll still, you know, I'll listen when they prompt me. But excuse me, I have a cold as well. So if you hear me coughing, that's my cold. Going up to someone and regardless of their religious beliefs or, you know, even if they're okay with that, and it's going up to someone and just kind of invading their privacy like that is unethical in my book, and I would feel really horrible as a practicing medium doing that, if that makes any sense to you. I would feel horrible. And when I get those feelings, I've learned to say, okay, step back. You have to tell the spirit to step back, because it's normally them. You know, they really want to communicate with this person, and it's not my place as another human being that's living and breathing on this planet to go up and interfere with stuff like that. So I'll have to just say, you know, all right, I get the message. I'm going to take a step back, and I just kind of like I send healing to that person, and I send love to that person, and I wish them well, but I'm not going to go, you know, ruin their day.
Right.
Sometimes that happens.
Right. And so that's much different from like a person's angel or angelic presence or divine energy channeling through to you for that person. This is a different classification, I guess you would say, of spiritual energy, and that they would have maybe different goals where it's not for necessarily the divine good of the person. It's from that personal connection that was with the person. I don't know if that's a...
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I recognize the need to clarify that. When I get promptings, and I listen to them a lot, it's you know, it's my guides and their guides getting together. I mean, it's that kind of prompting for their highest good. When I'm walking around and I get their, you know, Uncle Joe, that's another kind of energy, and that can be invasive. So I would say there's a difference between the types of promptings that I receive or the types of, you know, information that I receive, and whether or not I should move forward with that. Depends on, you know, what my channel is picking up. You know, is it coming from Uncle Joe or their life guide? You know, so.
I do have a caller who has indicated they want to come on. I'm going to check in real quick. This is the caller with the area code 845. Did you have a question so far, or were you calling in for the mini reading?
I do have a mini reading question. Is that okay?
Well, we're going to bring that on during the last segment of the show. So I have your number now on the list for number 2 to receive that. So right now we're just taking questions about the psychic life, but I will definitely bring you back on at that portion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'm going to check in with caller with the area code 646. Were you calling in with a question for Adrianna or for the mini reading?
I'm calling in for the mini reading, but I'm just holding.
Okay, excellent. I will have you on your first in line. So I'll have you on when we start that segment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to check in because the lights were blinking at me, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing any questions that people have. And I also have a question from the chat room with someone. So we'll get to that as well. So it seems like it'll be a very popular night for you this evening after the reading starts. So in terms of the mediumship part. I'm very intrigued by that. I've had many psychic readings over the years of varying types and formats, but one of the ones that really kind of blew me away was the first time I did have a medium session and with my dear friend Marcus Howell, who's a local clairvoyant as well. And I really had confirmation because a dear friend of mine from college who had passed away when she was 29 came through. And it was one of those kind of, I always knew inside that there was more to this thing. I'd always been fascinated with books as a child that dealt with the paranormal, but I had never had my own real honest-to-God communication that I knew in my total being that I was communicating with this person's energy. And so, I think it's fascinating, the whole idea for people that, there is life after life, if you will, and is that one of the more interesting aspects of your psychic life?
I've always loved the skeptical people, if I should say that, because when they really feel that connection and they feel the energy of that person they're communicating with, or that's giving them a message, it really, I can see like in their eyes, that light in their eyes go off, and just almost like alarm bells ringing, like, oh my gosh, this is for real. This is this person. And you can just slowly see that facade that they have kind of like crumble, and recognize the healing that's taking place within that person. And I love that. I love that. And I feel like it makes my day every time. Every client that I experience something like that with, I remember that moment. I remember what they're going through, and I feel like it's a great blessing to perform this work, and that's what I do. That's why I get up out of bed in the morning. I love it, and I feel like if you're going and getting a reading and you're not having that kind of experience, it's out there. It's out there, and that's what I want to, press tonight is, if you haven't had something like that happen yet, don't give up hope, because, if you're doubting things or if you're unsure of whether or not someone that you love is in a space that is real almost, a lot of people, they'll feel that it's real, but they won't know it, and that knowing makes the difference. That knowing is what kind of hits your heart space, and it guides you through your life. And I feel like I'm very extremely blessed all the time. And I'm sure a lot of other mediums especially will say the same thing. They do it for the client and for the healing that takes place in that client. And it's a great service. It's a great work that we perform. If that makes any sense.
Well, I definitely have seen it or felt it as a great comfort. And even when I've seen other people who have, relayed their experience after a reading, it brings tears, yes, but a lot of times it is a kind of cathartic expression that is like grief that may not have been able to be moved, or joy, or just overwhelming emotion just in general. Now I have some friends who, we go around to the psychic fairs and stuff like that, and I have some friends who will not have a mediumship session They're like, I will have a tarot all day. We could talk about me, my energy, my life. But when you start talking about medium, they're like, no, I don't want to get into any situation because who knows who I'm going to be communicating with. So how do you address people who have, I'm sure you've heard that before. So how do you describe what you do in a mediumship experience?
Describing what I do, I would have to say the closest thing that I could relate it to is just being maybe like a diplomat. I want to say mediator sometimes. It depends on the energy I'm working with. Sometimes it's a mediator. But I feel like I'm representing that side of things. I'm representing that side of the veil. And so if you notice, like a lot of mediums will kind of put themselves up to higher standards or like what's the word? So they like to set the bar high for themselves because they know that it's a tough thing to go around saying, I'm a spiritual medium and I communicate with, loved ones that have crossed the veil. And I mean, it's a lot to, sometimes I'll go to bed at night and go, wow, I can't believe I do this. But at the same time, I hope that I represented correctly. Did I put Adrianna in there at times that were inappropriate, But I like to make jokes. I consider myself a humorous person. So sometimes I'll, if it gets at the end of the reading, I'll make jokes and I'll go, should I have done that? I'll ask my guys, should I have said that? But really, it's just I'm putting myself up to a standard that's almost it's impossible to be at as a human. We're all here to learn and to go through our own karma and to progress. And sometimes I'll be a little bit harder on myself than I should be. But I would say that it's more like a diplomat situation.
I mean, when you talk about ethics, many of the people who I've talked with, and, I've done some classes myself and then looking at the literature and books and things that are out there about being a person who works with people in this type of counseling, connection, guidance, is that there is a very, very strong ethical code that people are supposed to use. For people who've never had a reading before, I'm trying to also explain a little bit about expectations and how readers work and what you as a person receiving this communication have control over. And one thing is that I know readers oftentimes get asked to spy on people. I want to know what so-and-so is doing. And, from what I understand, that's going to be a big, no, that's I can talk to you and your energies and guides and people who have that focused about yourself, but not about, psychic spying, I guess, if you will, would be the easiest way that I can explain it. And also to not help people do things that are illegal by receiving your gifts, that it's not meant to gain advantage in a unfair way against someone. And I've seen, and also that privacy, that your personal reading details are not then talked about and gossiped about amongst you and the reader and their family and friends and peers and things like that, that you kind of hold this, it looks like sacred, almost like the priestly confessional. This is a one-on-one at the most intimate level of a person's spirit. So
yeah.
I know they say if you ever feel uncomfortable with a reader and what is happening at the time, to just absolutely just say I'm ending this and I'm not comfortable and concluding it. That's it, finito. And I know there have been readers who've also ended sessions because they're like, this is not going in a way that is unconditionally loving. Something is off,
Yeah, exactly.
Now, a lot of people have worries about. Well, I was wondering a little bit about that because a lot of people have concerns about, well, when you open up the world of mediumship, how do you know that you're talking with Uncle Joe and that you're not talking with some tricksy, demonic, that's one of the words that I hear used a lot of times, or the malevolent, evil spirit that is going to trick me into some danger and risk my soul because I spoke to them in this medium session. How does that even work?
And I'm going to say, to pretend that I know everything would be, presumptuous of me. I'm smart, but I don't know everything. From the way I understand it and the way that I've experienced that, the one way that I look at it is the vibration that the reader is resonating at is going to, it's almost magnetic in a way, and I would hate to describe this a certain way and another reader be listening and going, oh my gosh, that's not how it is for me.
But everyone is different, so.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't really know anything, being a human here, but the way I describe it is if you're resonating positive vibration at a higher level, you're only going to attract what you put out. So say if me as a reader, I go get drunk at the bar with my friends, and then I'm like, okay, let me go give so-and-so a reading. That would be extremely dangerous because the vibrational level that I'm at is going to attract on the other side what I emit. So I'm not going to get the higher vibrational beings. I'm going to get the lower energies, and that's dangerous. And that's a lot of why readers put themselves at that high standard, and they have that code of ethics because it's sometimes, the job is dangerous. And you have to kind of vet who you choose to get readings from. And I know I hate to say that, but it's true. You want to make sure that that you're in a loving space. And if you feel something off during the reading, if you feel that it's not loving and it's, there's a lot of fear there, or if it just feels wrong, stop it. Like you said, Joelle, just as a client, you can stop the reading and say, I don't want to go any further. I've seen readers sometimes not really kind of get lost into themselves and not recognize when they're receiving that negative, I don't want to say negative, the lower vibrational energies. And I mean, you kind of have to keep yourself in check all the time. You're constantly checking with your guides to make sure where you are. It's a tough game, but I love it, and you just have to make sure that you're working with the right energies. And I don't want to scare people, But I do want to put that out there. If you decide to start channeling at home, make sure that you're protected and that you have your guides around you and your angels around you, and you're not in a state that would attract, you're not depressed, or you're not, just getting done yelling at someone, starting to channel, because that's going to affect your channel.
Now, I do see that we have a caller. I think they're calling in on the Skype line. Did you have a question for Adrianna, or were you calling in for a reading?
Yes, I'm calling in for a reading.
Okay, I'll have you on the list. You'll be the third up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a nice cue this evening for you at that portion of the show. Now, most people, well, I can't say most, that might be a generalization, but it seems like going to channel is not necessarily the first place that people dive right into when they're starting to think that they might have some extra sensory perceptions and things going on. Maybe because it is somewhat more fearful, like, what am I getting into? Because I know I keep getting readings and things that are telling me that I'm going to be a medium at some point. And I've had a few brushes with what I believe one very clear experience that I know that I was seeing clairvoyantly a person in my space. It was rather disconcerting. And me personally, I don't open up for that at this point because I don't feel like I'm educated enough to start delving into that. But I have no problem at all connecting then with my guides and angels. And I am clairaudient, so I'm hearing things that I know are from that realm. And since I've had, like, my grandfather present many times through other mediums, so I've come to recognize his presence. But, I did like a 6-week psychic development course, and they didn't even get into channeling through mediumship at that level. It was just kind of like learning to tap into your intuition. You mentioned that you did some psychic development. But you were naturally a medium before you were recognizing anything. So did your instruction talk about mediumship at some point?
I'm glad you asked that. When I went to psychic development, I actually went to 2 because I was, oh my gosh, I want to find some people that are similar to me. That way I can kind of develop this. Because at that point, the confidence level in what I was receiving was just not that great. I was probably typical. Whatever I would receive information, typically I would write it off as, no, that's me. I just didn't have that discernment. And I feel like, once you get the discernment down, if it's coming from you or if it's coming from your guides, I can say 100% everything I receive without batting an eye because I know it's something that I'm channeling. But I did go to just straight psychic development classes. And those were so fun. I remember we were sitting down like one day doing psychometry, and I was like, oh, I don't really know if I believe in this. I was still I'm always very skeptical. Even now I'm very skeptical, which is kind of hilarious, but I am. And I sat down and I remember holding this gold necklace going, okay, I'm not going to get anything, but I'm going to do it anyway. And wouldn't you know, I got a whole lot of stuff, and it wasn't me. It was spirit, and I was, because I was channeling. And I didn't realize, how the energy was flowing. And I learned a lot about energy in those classes. So I'm grateful for that and how, the chakras work and where they are and how you energetically interact with other people and protection and stuff like that. After that, ended up going to a mediumship circle that my friend Katie did, and I actually found her online. I was like, oh, I need a place to go. And eventually I want to start something like that because I know there are far too many people out there with no place to go, and they feel like they have to drive all the way to Atlanta, to go to development classes. And, I'm out in Conyers, and my guides are just like, stay where you are and do something that's going to be beneficial to the people, around you. Because I know there's so many people out there looking for the same thing that I was looking for, which is, just communion with other people that are similar. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, that's what I needed to kind of boost my confidence up. And there were some things that I learned there, a lot of professional mediums have been to psychic development courses or mediumship courses. My guides were always kind of like, if you build it, they will come kind of mentality, like just do it, and you'll learn that way. And I think that's just personally how I learn. I don't want to put that out there for everyone, but that's kind of how my journey was. So I went to the mediumship circle for a few months, and I know my friend was reading at the Blue Barn, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do that. My guides were telling me, like, they were basically bugging me night and day, go, just do it. Just do it, and we'll teach you. And that's kind of what happened. I just jumped in, and here I am, like over a year later, going, I can't believe I'm at the place where I am now versus a year ago. I'm just, excuse me, I'm just in a totally different space, and I'm continuing to learn. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect. I'm not a perfect person. I don't have, a lot of experience under my belt as far as how long I've been reading. But I know and I trust my guides. And at the end of the day, you are going to want to get a reading from someone like that versus someone that's more professionally minded, if that makes any sense. And I know that sometimes I suffer for that, but it's not me. The universe will always take care of you if you put your foot out for somebody, if that's the right expression. Maybe that's not the right expression.
No, it is. The thing that I found so helpful, and that's why I highly recommend to anybody to do a class or take an online course or even read a book, because a lot of the journey is in learning to trust yourself. I mean, we have like this amazing system of guidance. Some people, they trust their gut feeling. They may not call it psychic ability, but they know to trust their gut, and if it tells them something, they move, and they don't doubt or hesitate. But in general, a lot of us spend time like second guessing, or, I should have done this or I should have done that. If I would have just gone with my gut, that kind of, then when you learn your body's indicators, you learn what it feels like to feel truth. You learn what it feels like to feel falsehood. You really do come into that self-trust, and that can help you in any career. It doesn't matter if you're an accountant or if you're a musician or anything like that. Trust is going to be, to me, the most important thing if you never become a professional psychic at all. Learning, know thyself is kind of like my lovely golden aspiration, is to always try to discover as much as possible as myself. And then when I know me, then I can tell what's not me. And so if nothing else, to be able to sit down and do some exercises to learn how to quiet your mind, hear your inner voice, feel your truth, discernment exercises. That's a lot of what the first sessions that I experienced were all about, was getting you to a place where you actually were able to observe things that were really happening in your reality and view them differently to see more expansion of what they were. And I also, I think it's so important because, my motto is your vibe attracts your tribe. And so when you realize you're not alone, when you realize that you may have felt like you could have been losing your marbles because you're hearing things or you're seeing things and there's no one around that you can say, I just had this wild experience. Once you start to talk about it and reveal things to people, 9 times out of 10, you may not be ridiculed. Of course, sometimes you are, but when you find that person who believes you, who doesn't say, oh, get out of here, you just have an overactive imagination, that in itself is so wonderful to not feel alone. And to come into connection and community with people. And I think it's wonderful because we're in this kind of new technology era where it's easy to find chat rooms and people who are talking about things in groups in virtual space, even if they never have met each other face to face. And even part of my mission with bringing out this show is to give people examples of stories. And maybe you'll hear somebody's story and you'll say, wow, you know what, that used to happen to me, but I didn't know that that's what it was. I'm not a freak of nature, you know what I'm saying? So I really am appreciating you having this conversation with me tonight. This is the Psychic Inside Show, and I am here with Adrianna Wallace, who is a psychic medium here in the Atlanta metro area. And Adrianna, you take clients over the phone and video chat as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so how can people get in contact with you if they're interested in scheduling a private reading?
I normally give out my email address and my email, and I'll give it out here.
Okay, excellent.
It's Adrianna Wallace Medium, ADriannaWallace Medium @yahoo.com. And then from there, you can just shoot me an email, and we can schedule a session. Recently, here, 75% of my readings are over the phone or Skype, and the other 25% are in-person readings. And I also do house clearings, house blessings, paranormal consultations, stuff like that. So.
Well, that is the next thing that I wanted to ask you about, because you do have on your bio paranormal investigator. So, I know that you shared with me you were just down in Savannah wandering through some of the beautiful old cemeteries that they have down there. And I was wondering, can you share with us what a paranormal investigation, what's a typical one that you've had, and if you can share what happened and what was the result.
Oh, wow. Normally, I will go in, or they will have me come in beforehand. So I don't do any on-site, while they're there. The investigation team. I don't do any of that. But I'll go beforehand and kind of walk through the area to see what's going on in the space. And there's a lot that you can get from just walking through. And I don't really have much to say about that.
Is this like a Ghostbusters call? Like when somebody will say, oh, hey, I think I've got a spirit in the house I'm living in. Are they calling you, or are they calling another team of people who are using all the equipment and that kind of thing? Or how does the call happen?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people contact me, and I would just go through and let them know, what I felt in their home or on the property, and any impressions that I get, and basically tell them what's going on. And from there, they can decide how to move forward from that. But I've also had a team contact me beforehand and let them know what I got and what was going on, and then they did their session that night, and we tried to kind of match up like EVPs and stuff to see. It was fun. It was really fun, and at the end of the day, in cases like that, that they're looking to get that healing for their space, and they're looking to clear it and bless that property as well. So it's always, it kind of makes my day when I do stuff like that, because I know, that they're working towards that end goal.
Okay.
I don't do very many of those, so I'd say I've done about 4.
Okay.
But it's just because I haven't been, I haven't gotten very many calls about that. I know that a lot of investigative teams have their own mediums that they like to use. So I'm the backup chick, I guess. Whenever there's something gets sick.
That's so interesting. There are all manner of people doing all manner of things that you just would never expect, until you get into conversation and they tell you, well, I'm a sound technician and I go ghost hunting, and it's like, wow, when you get to talking to that person and you realize that they're bringing a great deal of skill and knowledge and this equipment and really filtering out that spectrum to detect things. And it's like, that's really hella cool that you're getting paid to do this. How fun is that? The kids, hopefully now, kids will be able to say, well, when I grow up, I want to be a paranormal investigator. And it won't be like, no, Timmy, you need to be a fireman. You know what I'm saying?
You can do whatever the heck you want, Timmy. Be that paranormal investigator. It's actually a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And you do have to make sure that you are... Go ahead.
Oh, I would say go ahead, grounded and protected, and I'm sure it has to be very much, because you don't know what you're going to encounter.
Exactly.
Have you seen
That's exactly what I was saying.
Have you seen physical things moving, or in cases where you're experiencing mediumship, or do you mostly just see then the person spirit?
I want to say that depends on the level or what you're dealing with. In my lifetime, I've seen one apparition, and it was a full-on, woke me up in the middle of the night. There is a woman in my room. With my physical eyes, I saw her. It still kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I do this. So if you can imagine, seeing with your eyes someone standing there physically is a whole different thing than going into your space and viewing things in your mind's eye, with your third eye.
Right.
It's a whole different feeling, and it's a whole different dynamic. I remember waking up when it happened. This woman woke me up at 12:26 a.m. And for, I want to say, 2 weeks afterward, I was waking up at 12:26 a.m. going, oh my gosh, putting my head under the covers like I was 5 again. And at one point, my guys were like, Adrianna, what are you doing with your life? But it's a scary thing, even as an adult. But I have seen things with my physical eyes. That one woman, and the typical shadow figures sometimes. But I always just kind of divert back to that one experience that creeped me out. And, I haven't seen anything being like any kind of like poltergeist activity. You know, I haven't seen anything being thrown or anything like that. But I hope I don't. I check in with my guys there and say, hey, this is not something I want to see right now. But if it happens, it happens, and I'm not territory. I just haven't experienced that yet.
Well, and that's one thing that I've also understood then, that as you are exploring your gifts and abilities, you can tell your guides, hold on. Like, or if you're being approached by spirits and you're not wanting to be in communication mode, that you say, no, not right now. I'm not open to this. And they then recede from your being present to you, or your guides then will, when you're ready, then bring you into a certain area of activity. So it's not like you're just like ripped open, like you will do this now kind of thing.
Yeah.
What I understand is correct.
Yeah. If I walked around channeling all the time or open all the time, as some people would say, I would not be able to function in this reality, in this life, and that's like defeating the whole purpose of me being incarnated, or you don't. I feel like at the beginning of their journey, they think, oh, I have to do this all the time, or I need to be, receptive. And that kind of, they learn very fast if they do go that route, that it takes a toll on their health. I mean, it's not a good thing to be like that. I mean, it's possible, but I would have to argue that they won't last very, very long. They would get tired very quickly. But yeah. You've got to, before I do a reading, I open myself up. So I meditate, I ground, I'll open my channel, and that's when I get in that space, is when I'll be able to do the reading. But, that's not to say that sometimes when I've, protected myself, and I'm basically closed at this point. I'm going to Kroger, Publix down the road, and I get bombarded. Sometimes that does happen, and that just depends on the energy of the spirit that comes in. And then, I'm wondering, okay, did I get something? Did I go through my morning protection too fast? And times like those, you just kind of have to brush it off and go, okay, step back. I'm not open right now, and just kind of redo your protection. And if it's really important, and if it's something that's meant to happen, it'll happen. It'll come out later when you're actually channeling. But no, I would say that's very unhealthy to be channeling all the time, and definitely hits you health-wise. Very draining.
It would be like running a marathon all day, every day.
Yeah.
You run your race and then you go refuel,
Yeah. So to carry that energy, it's almost like you have to kind of hold this higher vibration, or, hold this this space for spirit to be able to. It's like you're meeting spirit in the middle. I'm going up, and I'm meeting, my guides or spirit coming down. Okay, and we're kind of meeting in the middle, and that way we can hold this space. And when you are through, when you're done channeling, you kind of have to go back down and occupy yourself, and that's when you feel tired, and that's when you feel drained, and you don't really realize how much energy you were carrying after it's over. And sometimes I have to just go take a nap because it's exhausting. It just depends. And
we need to get you a piece of candy.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me some oranges
or something. Yeah, and that's why a lot of practitioners will make sure that they're eating healthy and that they're doing the things that are good for their bodies, because they're doing physical work as well. They have to carry that energy. So it is a thing.
What?
Practitioners drinking shakes and yoga and stuff like that. I'm getting into yoga. Haven't yet.
But, we are getting to the point of the show where we're going to get ready to take a few callers for complimentary reading, and I'm so appreciative that you're willing to do that in this space. And we talked about it some before the show, and I don't know if you need to take just a couple moments here to kind of do what you do offline. I'm going to go ahead and run through the kind of show housekeeping for just a minute or two here, and then when you come back, if you can just kind of give us an outline for the callers of how you would like it to happen. So I know it's been a lot of questions coming at you fast and furious, so if you want to do what you need to do, I'll take care of what I need to do here. So this is the Psychic Inside Show, and my name is Joelle. I'm the Viberarian, and my goal is to bring you experiences and information that you find uplifting, elevational, and empowering. And so I have a lot of things that I'm putting out there into the universe for people. I have 2 radio shows here on Blog Talk Radio. On Tuesday nights is the Psychic Inside Show. And as you can see, we have a conversation with people about their psychic life and what their journey has looked like. And every Thursday is the Viberarian Show, where I get to just talk about whatever topics I find curious from week to week. I do have people who join me on the panel to talk about whatever the topic is, if that's their subject specialty or they have some experience, or if they just want to get on the line and be part of the conversation. It's kind of a free-for-all. This Thursday is going to be actually part 2 of our last episode on astral travel and lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis. So my special guests were Paula Gore, who is the singing shaman. She's here locally in the Atlanta area, and also clairvoyant Marcus Howell. And we talked for about an hour about astral travel, and we never made it to lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis because it was so much information that came out about astral projection and travel. And it was quite interesting because during the show, Paula and Marcus started reading each other and energy that were around them. So after the show went offline, I brought them both back on to an on-air room, and we continued for about another 30 minutes because there were some presences making themselves known to Marcus, and it was something new for him, and Paula was able to share what energy reading she got off of that. So I will be making that available on the YouTube channel because it was kind of like Oprah after the show. It was a little more casual, but it was completely interesting. So Paula and Marcus will both be back on Thursday at 9 o'clock. We only talk for an hour on Thursdays. We go a little longer on Tuesdays because we do want to provide the opportunity for the readings. But if you'll tune back in, and you can find the previous episode out on the YouTube channel. I also would like to invite you to come down if you are in the Atlanta area. The third Sunday of the month is a pop-up event called the VIberary Elevation Station. So the elevation stations are a place where you can go to get lifted. It is a combination holistic vendor fair and psychic fair. So on the one side of the house, we have vendors who are bringing products and services, things that they're making, handmade soaps and body products, jewelry, crystals, organite, metaphysical products, candles, incense, sage, etc. It changes every month based on what vendors are available. And then on the other side of the house are psychic readers of all types and shades. Usually there's about 7 or 8 readers. And so we have astrology, tarot, mediums. We have a dream interpretation person who will be there this month. And just something for everyone, a palm reader, although I don't know if she'll be back this month or not. But you can find out more about the Elevation Station on Facebook. It is going to be from 12 to 6 on Sunday, June 18th at the Cupcakery, and that's Cupcakery with a K. That's down in East Point, Georgia, off Main Street, and you can easily Google that to find the location. We're there from 12 to 6, and you can purchase readings, and you can also book your reading in advance through the Viberarian Facebook page if you would like to sit with a specific reader. I'm always adding new readers to the options, so be sure to check back and see who's gone ahead and sent me their RSVP. Again, so that's June 18th, the VIberary Elevation Station, and we'll be moving around the metro Atlanta area, kind of like a bookmobile, bringing high vibrational experiences to places around town where there aren't any metaphysical stores or places where you can go for this type of experience. So now, Adrianna, are you doing okay? How's your throat?
It's okay. It's as good as it can be right now.
Okay. So, well, for the reading, so would you just explain a little bit about how you would like to interact with the callers?
Let's see. I guess it just depends on how many callers that you have. I want to kind of get their questions addressed.
Well, we're not rushed for time at this point. I would say max 10 minutes each to get to the 3 that we have on hold at this time. So you can certainly spend time with them on the question. And for our listeners, there may be some dead air time as Adrianna needs to consult with her guides and everything that is happening. So we just are patient. I'm not going to have small talk, and I basically will turn it over to Adrianna to manage your question and call after I bring you on the air. So if you're ready to go, Adrianna, then I will go ahead and bring the first caller on. Okay.
All right.
Caller with the area code 646. You've been holding the longest. You're on the Psychic Inside Show.
Yes, hi. Good evening. How are you today, first of all?
I'm sorry, we're having a bit of a challenge with your line.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Hey, how are you this afternoon, this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm calling to take a look what the universe have in regards to my love life.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said.
Okay, so I'm calling to see what the unit would in regards to your love reading.
Oh, a love reading. Okay. So what is your question for Adrianna?
Do you see me getting into a relationship, I would say, by next fall?
Next fall. Hold on. Okay, so what I'm getting now is this is all dependent on, I don't know what that background noise is, but this is all dependent on what you want for your life. I feel like what your guide is trying to say to me is that if you really want this, it's going to happen for you, okay? And I don't know if he's talking about a specific person that you're thinking about, or just a relationship in general. But
in general, yeah.
This is something that you've wanted for a long time, and this is going to happen for you.
Okay.
Can you hear me? For you, if you put yourself in that position, he's saying, okay? So it's dependent on the choices that you're making, as far as if you're putting yourself out there, if that makes any sense. And I feel like there's already someone that's for you, okay? Or someone that you're thinking about. It's almost like have patience, be patient, because you need to. There are some lessons for you to learn in this, and being hold on, and being with yourself and comfortable with yourself.
Yes, definitely.
And being all right with integrating this other person into your life. I feel like what he's saying is integration here. But it's going to happen when you are done with this process, with this period. Okay, it's showing me like a break. There's a break here, almost like you've had a while, and there's just a little bit more of a break, and then when you're ready, it's going to happen.
All right, that sounds pretty good. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for holding and listening so long this evening. You kind of chimed in very early, so I appreciate you listening to the whole show.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to switch over now to our second caller. So let's see. This is caller with the area code 845. Are you here?
Hi, yes. Hi. Thank you so much again for taking my call.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and a lovely, lovely show.
Thank you. So you have a question for Adrianna tonight?
Yes, please. I was wondering, I'm wrapping up a project, and there is somebody who's interested in it. They've told me, they're interested in it. They want to take it on, kind of like a merging. So I was wondering if you see it going well for me, if it'll be lucrative, successful.
Hold on.
Thank you.
All right, they're showing me like a whole bunch at once. Hold on. Okay, so they're showing me. I'm going to ask you a question here because it's going to sound a little bit strange. Either do you work in some sort of like furniture or doing something with furniture, or like are you moving your furniture around right now? I know it's a crazy question, but I'm seeing like kind of like chairs or some kind of something moving as far as like furniture wise.
I pace when I'm on the phone. I actually just sat down to ground myself. I'm a pacer.
Okay.
Wow.
That could be it. I'm getting like four things at once. So I'll set that one aside. What they're saying as far as the project goes is this is going to be something that's a long time coming. Again, I feel like maybe that's a theme, but hold on.
Yes, you're right so far.
Be careful what you wish for, or be careful. Hold on. And I hate to say that, but that's what they're saying. Almost like this is going to be a busy period for you coming up. Okay, it's been stressful to get everything the way that you want it, and if it does work out, I feel like they're not giving me an answer, a short answer as far as hold on. Almost like there is a decision that someone else has to make before this goes through, if that makes any sense to you.
Yes.
There's this that's not been made yet, if that makes sense to you. So I can't.
Really?
They're showing me like two different paths for this to go, but definitely for you, it's gonna. They're saying don't worry. Okay, it's going to turn out the way that it's supposed to turn out, and it's going to turn out well for you. Okay, and it's going to be a busy period ahead. Not as busy as in the past. Okay, so it's almost like you're scrambling to get something accomplished, something done, and then you're going to have a little break. Okay, you're going to have a little break to kind of like relax and hold on. And take care of yourself. And stop worrying about, okay, they're saying you're going to not have to worry, okay? They're almost saying like you're a person that kind of like wants to make sure that everything's perfect or, hold on, dwells on things to make sure that no mistakes are made and everything comes out right, okay? And they're saying almost like sometimes you have to take a step back from things like this. And they're showing me like people involved being kind of, hold on. I don't want to say wishy-washy. I feel like they're saying wishy-washy, but they're saying almost it's going back and forth sometimes. And you're going to be in a more stable position in the future. I want to say in 1 month, number one, is significant. So 1 week, 1 month, but something in the short term, okay?
Oh, wow.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Yes. Just to clarify, these people that I'm speaking about, their company name begins with an A. I don't know if that's more helpful. Would that be the people you're picking up on?
Hold on. Can't answer that for you. I'm getting a male with like dark hair. So,
yes.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know who if he's in the company or what. Okay, but that's who I'm speaking about.
That
so
it could be kind of wishy-washy, but it's okay. Basically, don't worry. It'll work out for the best for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hold on. The thing, just as far as you personally, know that it's going to be okay, and it's going to work out for your highest good. It's going to work out in your favor, okay?
I'm sorry.
And take some time to relax. Oh, they're just saying that make sure that you take some time to take care of yourself and kind of breathe in this process. Because you can get kind of focused on something and like hyper-focused. And you need to kind of like, and they're almost showing me like shaky or like, I don't know if this is just feeling like really stressed out. I don't know. It's almost like a hyper shaky kind of thing feeling. Take some time to kind of relax, okay? And they're showing me, hold on, make sure I have this right. Okay, doing the things that you like to do. All right, don't forget to do the things that you like to do that make you happy. And this is almost like go buy some scented candles or something that kind of like put the room almost like the atmosphere in an uplifting energy. That way it will help calm. You're just mentioning calming.
Oh, thank you.
Does that help?
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. Don't forget to do those things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
I hope
thank you so much for.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for holding and for asking your question this evening, and best wishes for your outcome.
Thank you, and blessed night to both of you. Thank you so much.
You too. Blessings. You're so sweet.
Thank you.
Okay, we are doing good. I have actually 2 other callers, 3 with questions, but we're still doing good on the time. So I believe that this is our Skype caller this evening. I love when people from Skype calling because the number shows up as 111-111-1111. So that's so high vibration, it just makes me smile every time. So how are you? Thank you for holding.
I'm great. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. So you have a question for Adrianna
Hi.
this evening.
I do. Adrianna, I'm wondering what you're picking up around a move to a new home for me.
Okay. Hold on one second because I've got just really tired all of a sudden. Hold on. Okay. I feel like you're saying the number 3 would be significant for you. And this, hold on. This is something that you're dead set on doing? Do you want to move?
Yes.
Okay. And it's like you're stuck in a place and you're just dead set on I'm going somewhere. Hold on. I feel like you have the place picked out. Like, do you have the house where you're moving to already picked out, or is everything set with that? You just have to kind of do it?
Yeah, I do have it picked out. I'm actually waiting for some renovation work to be completed, and I seem to be caught up in some bureaucratic red tape and wondering when that red tape is going to be lifted or, finished.
Okay. I know right off the bat, before they gave me any information, they said the number 3. And I feel like that would be dealing with that situation. And like I said, when I'm working with the energy and I'm receiving the number, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months. I don't feel like it's going to be, hold on. I don't think it's going to be too terribly long. I do feel like there's another option for you as far as, hold on. Was there another place that there's another option here? You're saying there's another option besides this house that you want to go to?
At the moment, there's no other option because, like I said, I'm renovating, so I've already invested in this house.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why they would be saying that. Put that one in your pocket, okay? But they're definitely saying that. They're just saying it's going to be, hold on, it's going to take some time. And something to do with, is this a 2-story home?
It is.
Okay, something to do on the upper level.
Yes,
so
that's where the delay is.
Okay, yeah. They're just saying that second level, the upper level, it's going to take some time, but it's going to all work out for the best, okay? So it's like you're uncovering something that you hadn't noticed before, and then you have to kind of deal with the first issue, or the second issue before you were dealing with the first one. Kind of stuff like that. But it's going to come, okay?
So here's my question. I'm trying to figure out if the bureaucratic red tape is just typical City Hall red tape or if someone is doing this intentionally.
Hold on. Okay. What they're saying is this would be typical for this area, okay? Almost like they're slow or This is just a typical thing, okay? This is not intentional. Hold on. It's almost like a perfect storm, all right? And you have to go around all these hoops, but it's going to be worth it in the end, is what they're saying. Hold on. It's going to feel like it's intentional, okay? It's almost like you know that somebody's doing this on purpose because it's so ridiculous that there's no way that this is going to be normal. And they're saying that feeling that you have, and it's like it's awful. It feels awful. It's like just frustration, okay? But this is just how this is going to play out. There's some lessons for you in this as far as, hold on, being thorough, and making sure everything is the way it's supposed to be, or like kind of crossing your T's and dotting your I's. Okay? They're just saying being thorough. There's some lessons that you're learning here, and it takes great inner strength and patience to go through this because they're saying it's been very taxing on you. And are you feeling very tired? Because that could just be me. But sometimes when I do readings, okay, they're just extremely tired. Hold on. Take a moment to breathe, okay? It'll work out. Number 3. And you're mentioning eat healthy with you. Make sure that you're eating healthy. Okay?
Yeah, I just changed my diet.
Yeah. Make sure that you continue to do that. That's going to help with your energy levels. And also the walks, that's going to help. Right? Going on walks.
Okay.
Something like that. So I feel like it'll work out. It's just it's just like everything else in life is another lesson.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I've had enough lessons for a while. I need,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I go through the same thing, but it's definitely frustrating sometimes. So I empathize with you, but I know if what they're saying, it's going to work out.
Okay.
It's just going to take a little bit of time, and hold on. There's some sort of paperwork that you're waiting on. There's some sort of document that you're going to be signing, or that you're supposed to sign, something like that. And that could just be like something as simple as, moving forward. Okay. But they're mentioning that coming up very soon for you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much for tuning in this evening and holding so patiently. I hope you'll tune again another week, and best success to you in your process.
Thank you.
Okay. Adrianna, we have 2 questions that have come in from the chat room, and then one more caller with the area code 707. I saw you pop on there. So let me get to the chat room real quick. We have a person chatting under the name Ann Iva, and she is wondering if you see a positive romantic outcome for her and her beau, who is the initials RP, and if there is a time frame that comes out for their relationship situation.
Okay. This is a toughie.
Yeah.
What they're saying is this is going to be more of a short-term learning lesson for both of you guys. And I hate to say that, but that's what I'm getting. And they want you to focus on yourself at this time, okay? And almost like what I said earlier with the other woman, it's more like I have a theme here. This is more of a taking care of yourself, being grateful for where you are in life, and not trying to rush things, okay? And it could just be, hold on, saying that this can turn out any way that you want it to turn out, okay? So I want to take that back. It's not a definite short-term thing, okay? So don't freak out when you hear this. Almost like what you put in is what you're going to get out. And if you spend a lot of time on yourself and focus on yourself and being a whole person for you, then this is going to impact this other person to be a whole person for himself. And that's what's going to propel you guys forward. It is at a place where you're learning a lot from each other, and the lessons that you are learning aren't all the time easy to go through. But it's up to you whether you want to go through them or not, okay? It doesn't have to be, hold on. It doesn't have to be the way that you think it will be, and it doesn't have to be the way that he thinks it will be. Almost like mutual understanding and mutual love, okay? They're saying the word mutual, okay?
I am monitoring the chat room here to see, because I know there's a bit of an air delay when it goes through the streaming, but I have not seen any follow-ups from Ann Iva at this time. So I will go ahead and move on to the second question, because we do have another caller to come to before the show goes off. So I will definitely have you repeat your email address, and Ivy, if you want to go for a quick clarification afterwards, please email Adrianna. This is the first time I got to ask questions from the chat room, so this is interesting for doing live readings by proxy. So the other question in the room, it says, I have a question about something I keep seeing. I keep seeing a large spider when suddenly I awake in the middle of the night. But once I'm fully awake, there is no spider. I feel like my angels are trying to tell me something, but I am not sure what it is. And this is from New Year Real Me, is the person in the chat room.
Okay, hold on. I want to know if this person is afraid of spiders. I feel like this is a fear thing with them. Some sort of, hold on. Something that's not being, hold on. Feeling like there's something to be done that hasn't been done yet. Hold on. This is complicated. The way that they're giving this to me. Feeling like you haven't accomplished what you were supposed to accomplish, and worrying about the outcome. Almost like this would be a wake-up call kind of thing, almost like a subconscious. Make sure that you have all your everything, all your irons in the fire, something along those lines. Is there any
the person followed up and said that I killed one before I started seeing them.
Okay. Are these like hold on. I'm getting like different kinds of spiders. Like it's not always the same kind of spider. Glowing spider, and then like a gray spider, and I'm trying to figure out. I feel like this is a fear that's an underlying fear of something that hasn't been, that they feel personally guilty about, or that hasn't been done. Okay, so it's almost like it's turning into a worry, and this is a reevaluate. Hold on. You must reevaluate your priorities to make sure that you're getting everything done, and that way you don't have to worry about what's left undone. Okay? They're still talking, and it's I'm trying to get it. But it's the same thing kind of over and over again, all right? Almost, it's very cyclic. This person would be a very cyclic person. I don't know if they're into their habits or they like routine, but they're kind of going in cycles, okay?
Okay.
So it's almost a pause and evaluate kind of thing.
What I will do is that I will give you the chat room names of the people who asked the questions, Adrianna, and then they can email you for a follow-up clarification, because I do understand it is somewhat hard to do through the chat interface, the psychic part of the question and answer. It's very challenging because of the delay. So New Year Real Me, I will have Adrianna. What is your email address now, if we go ahead and give that, Adrianna, again?
Yeah, it is Adrianna, ADRIANNA, Wallace, WALLACE, Medium, MEDIUM, at yahoo.com.
Okay, so New Year Real Me, if you could go ahead and send her an email to finish up, with any clarification that you might have about that question. I do have one last caller. We have about a little over 5 minutes left. Caller with the area code 707. Welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. You have a question for Adrianna?
Yes, thank you. Adrianna, do you see a committed relationship coming in this summer?
Okay, hold on. Ooh, I love these. It's like they want to talk about everything else but that. Sorry. All right. Do you have a daughter?
Yes.
Okay, and I feel like they want to talk about your daughter, and not the question that you had. So I'm kind of trying to divert everything.
Want her personal information online?
Huh?
Oh,
I don't want her personal. No. I'm just kind of diverting them.
They do this sometimes. There's going to be a break for you, okay? This is a break period. Or for that question, this is, unfortunately, I don't see that happening for you this summer. Almost like they're giving you a break for some reason, okay? They're saying in the future, yes. In this time period that you've given, I don't feel that happening. Okay? And hold on. There's other things coming up for you. That if you were in this relationship, that it would be hard at spaces, so they're kind of giving you a break. All right? That way you can kind of...
I wasn't looking for a break.
Yeah.
Right
now,
definitely on there's nothing really going on at the moment.
So that's why I was asking the question, was that the next thing coming up?
Ah, okay. Let me ask it that way. They're not giving me very much information, okay? They're just saying that that this is a break period, and I keep trying to go back and ask for them to elaborate, and they're just saying, nope, that's what she needs to hear. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I wish I could help you more. I wish I could help you more.
That's okay. If that's what you're getting, that's what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, I do thank you for coming on. It is, there's a lot of challenge with doing readings in public space, and I certainly would encourage you to email Adrianna for a private opportunity if you're wanting to touch on other areas that aren't wanting to be in public space at all. So it's a very intimate thing to be dealing with spiritual information, and I appreciate everyone who's willing to ask a question in public space and receive the answer. And Adrianna, I appreciate you for being willing to provide readings on display for everyone else as well. So, caller 707, thank you so much for calling this evening.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, blessings. It'll work out.
So we're down to the last 90 seconds of the show, Adrianna. So I just thank you so much. This is it's still the learning experience for me as the host of the show, how the readings go, because every reader is different and every situation is also different. And the person who was talking about the spiders did say, I think I get it. I'm supposed to be studying for an exam, and I have been working instead of studying. I haven't been prioritizing. Thank you. I will email her as well. So
all right.
I said it's kind of challenging to do the chat interface. So, Adrianna, I hope that you will be reading at the Elevation Station later this month. And if anyone has a question for you, please reach out. And I'm just so grateful that you connected and made yourself and your life available for our listening audience this evening. And if you have any final word of wisdom that you'd like to give in this last few seconds, feel free.
I would just say, everyone listening, just be true to yourself and be confident in what you receive. And if you want to make that connection with spirit, go ahead. Okay. Don't feel afraid. They're mentioning fear, so don't feel afraid. It's okay. That's for somebody.
Thank you. Well, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
That's for somebody listening. And I
That's
just
for
thank
somebody.
you so much this evening, and I look forward to our next conversation. And this has been the Psychic Inside Show, and I'm Joelle the Viberarian. I hope that you have all of the positivity and blessings that you can possibly hold this next week. I'll see you on Thursday for the Viberarian Show, and next week for the next episode of the Psychic Inside. Until then, be well. Namaste.